Welcome to the Burnout to Abundance series. I am your host, Dr. Grace Sha. Today, I have with me Terry Tran, who is a dear friend of mine. Terry is the founder and CEO of the freedomtrader.com. Welcome, Terry.
Thanks for having me, Grace. Always a pleasure to be
here. And Terry, if you're in the elevator and you had 60 seconds to introduce yourself and what the Freedom Trader does, what would you say to someone?
Oh, okay. I'm just a typical bloke. But what I do is I do, and over the past decade, I have created the freedomtrader.com, and it's really a place to, that drops all the hype and the BS that's out there about investing, especially in the stock market. And it's really been that mission to dedicate my life in terms of, helping business owners as well as also career professionals such as vets, doctors, dentists, etc. Create real financial freedom outside what they do for a living, but in a much more safer manner, protecting their wealth, but also building wealth for their families to look after them as well. So that's what I've been doing.
Sounds very important and meaningful. And I know you help farmers as well.
Yes, we've got well over, there's over 1,500 students now, and about a quarter of them, just over 400 of them are actually Aussie farmers. So we are the biggest farming educator in the country for the stock market industry at the moment.
Amazing. And we're here on the series where I wanted to share stories of inspiring people I know who have burnt out in the past, but now have a life of abundance. So obviously you have a bit of experience with that. Can you share with us what stage of life you were at and what you were doing when you experienced that?
Oh, for sure. So when I experienced burnout, that was in my early 20s when, the gung-ho go out there, of course, the typical Asian kid that really wanted to, make a name for themselves and also, I think, make wealth at the same time too. So, went through university, did well, got picked out by one of the Australia's biggest banks, basically, through their grad program, and went through that and spent a number of years with them. But within a certain time frame, 5 years later down track, I was doing quite a lot of hours. 70, 80 hour work weeks was quite average, but to me, that was normal, so to speak, to get somewhere, so to speak. And then ended up at that time in my sort of just before the mid-20s, I literally, blacked out at work. Yeah, and that was my first time that I experienced. I didn't know it was a burnout, but I did actually black out at that time.
Oh,
and
wow.
Just fainted, ended up in hospital.
That's very, very severe symptoms. Were there other symptoms that you notice now in retrospect when you look back?
No, these days I'm much more balanced. Back then I was just work, and really social life wasn't even it was probably there, but it was just really all work. And now these days I'm very aware of, well before it actually happens, I make sure that I've got my typical weekly and daily routines where health and family is part of it, plus social, having a healthy social life on the weekends as well. And that sort of balances everything. So when that happens, not to say that I don't get tired and still work quite hard, building what I have, but however, I'm aware of when I start getting tired, and plus now these days being much more older, I think maybe wiser, but the body notices things as well. And going through that I went through, it doesn't happen as much anymore, for sure.
That's good to hear. And we'll talk a bit more about the lessons you've learned and preventive strategies you have now. But at that time, obviously you became aware of the problem when you had to go to hospital. What did you do about it after that?
I actually did nothing. I'll be honest with you. My first time I blacked out. It's like, oh, okay, blacked out. Did a bunch of tests. They found nothing. It's like, oh, okay, cool. They found nothing. But then what ended up happening over another yearish, I ended up blacking out another 4 more times, and I ended up in hospital. And it was the 5th time that I blacked out, unfortunately, right on top of a stairway as I was heading out to lunch from work, and rolled down 2 flights of stairs. And because I wear glasses, one of the lenses, it was frameless at the time, it cut one of the I don't know what you call it, the arteries on top of my eyelid or eyebrow, and I was bleeding, rolling down, and then I hit the pavement, the street pavement, so hard that I got concussed as well, and ended up, when I woke up in hospital, my white business shirt was just drenched in blood. And that's when I knew that it was actually serious now, and I got to take this seriously and not have this ever happen again.
So how did you start actioning and, overcoming that difficult period?
The first thing was I definitely took a career break. So it's like, okay, I think I've done enough. And one thing that actually got me doing that was because I got a phone call from the bank. I won't mention which bank, but when they called me, didn't even ask me how I was, but literally asked me when could I get back to work so we could continue with our targets. Yeah, then I realized, yeah, it's just all about that, and that's why I applied for that career break and got that. So the next 6 months, I actually didn't work. I was just by the beach reading books, and I think now finally resting for the first time since university, basically. Yeah, so that was my first stage of taking it easier, and yeah, reading and learning, and that's how I got interested in a lot on the investing front as well.
And what are some lessons that you learned from that period of your life now that you've looked back on it and reflected?
The lessons I think is definitely, people say that you talk about balance, but I think it's not just talking about it, but actually scheduling it in. So when you schedule something, it happens, and if you don't schedule in, it will never happen. So I always make sure that I schedule in these days. It's almost a routine where every morning I wake up. It's a certain routine where I just go grab it on my bike and I'm riding my bike every morning, and I also do my stretches, etc. And that's a sort of a workout routine for an hour and a half every single day, 7 days a week. So that itself is not only a wake up for the body, but also really healthy, I think, over time. When you do it once, and it becomes such a routine that when you don't do it, it becomes very uncomfortable. The body really needs it now, and it knows that it lacks that, so it just wants to do that workout. And I think it's an enjoyable workout. It's not like going to the gym, hitting the gym and doing weights. If you don't like it, then it won't stick. But I like riding, so, and it's not, they're not treacherous rides. They're just very flat surface type, a couple of hills here and there, but overall just enjoyable. So scheduling it in, I think, but also at the same time, scheduling in, a social life as well. So just making aware that every week you're catching up with some family or friend and having that overall balance in life.
Yes. And what are some blessings that have come from your burnout? Because we know, like, the pain from your past doesn't sort of define you, but make you better.
Yeah, I think I actually took the career break and I never went back, put it that way. I never went back to full-time work at all, because I just realized, no, it's, life's too short. I was only 25 at the time, and I can't have this happen again. And that blessing, I think, was because of that time out I took, all the reading and investing and about investing and trading, specifically. And I ended up now doing that, and that was my life. So once I got in that, I over that period of time, I wanted to really master the global stock markets on the investing front. So I tried all different things, that went to all the so-called guru seminars out there. Wasted I won't say it's wasted. It was a good experience just to know what's the BS that's out there. And surprisingly, it's still happening today, even in more bigger ways, because of the internet now. There's just this spread of a lot of rubbish that's out there. And the blessing was learning how to invest and trade in a much more safer, consistent manner, creating real wealth and not sort of making money and losing money. And that's what I did for a number of years, and learning the true skill you need for the investing side. And then ended up managing people's money for 15 years. And then over the past decade now, of course, now creating a educational training company that's helped so many people across not only our country, but also across other countries as well. So that's the blessing that I got out of that if it didn't happen, I'll probably still have a corporate career in the bank. Don't know where I'd be, but my dream at that time was become sort of their path was estate manager, and then basically senior management in a major Australian bank. And happy that it didn't happen, and I am where I am today because of that so-called mishap. But it's no longer a mishap to me. It was a blessing.
Yeah, definitely. That's very encouraging for people to hear. And what are some preventive strategies other than the bike rides that you have in place to make sure you don't burn out again? Or how do you sort of pick up early signs when you start feeling exhausted?
Yeah, I think definitely rest for sure. Get the rest you need. Also diet. The people talk about dieting, so it's not about dieting and losing weight. So it's about just having a healthy diet that I'm a lover of food, so I do tend to overeat, and I love great food. So, but then having that healthy balance of, you know, eating well 5 days a week and then zagging on a weekend. So knowing that you're, you know, that happens. So diet. And the other thing too, I think I also love travel. So I schedule the travel in with my wife around the world a couple of times a year, but also every 2 months I'm out and about somewhere with a long weekend scheduled in as well. So that balances life, where I know I'll work hard, but I've got something to look forward to as well. So I think when you do that, life becomes more enjoyable, but also you become much more productive as well. Because when you work, and when you play. So there's none of that sort of. I think when I learned from someone, I forgot who it was, but they mentioned, you know, a lot of people get stuck in what they call the gray zone. When they're at work, they think about play, but then when they're playing, they also think about work. So they're in this gray zone where they're really never having a real break. So you know, when I'm playing, I really go out and play. Not that once in a while I still don't think about work. I'm pretty sure I do, because when you run your own show and run your own business, you will. But then you get great ideas when that happens as well. But then when you're working, you work, and you don't think about the you know, oh geez, I really need a holiday. You don't, because you've already scheduled it in, so you know it's coming anyway. So you just work and do what you need to do. And it's not about work. It's really about, I think, the bigger purpose of serving people and serving the, I speak with me now 1,500 plus students. So it's all about just serving. How do I make what I do better for them, so they also get the results that I've been able to achieve over the years as well.
Yeah, I love your strong why and the impact that you have, especially in the farming industry.
Yeah.
And yeah, very inspiring to hear. What are your top 3 tips now that you would give to someone who's listening about how to prevent burnout?
Okay, my first one is I have basically like a little timer. So what I do is every hour, it's 15 minutes work, and then the little timer goes off, and then I have that 5-10 minute break. Then I go out and walk around the block. It means just getting out there, go in the sun, and you know, they talk about smelling the flowers. I actually do. When I walk past and there's a nice blossom of somewhere, I actually look at the flower and just admire the flower. So I'm not, you know, a florist or anything, but I actually do try to admire the nature that's around. So I do that 50-10. The other one is what I said earlier. Definitely plan out the breaks before the start of the year. You're not going to plan out everything, but plan the big ones, and then, you know, lock that in, and then that's your playtime as well. So that's number 2, I think. And the other one is definitely that scheduling of the you know, the health routines, where whatever works out for the person. So whether swimming, if they enjoy swimming, go for it. If you enjoy running, go for it. So do whatever that you enjoy. I think that then that way it sticks, and therefore it becomes not a chore or not an exercise that you have to do, but something that you just enjoy going out there and doing. And if it's just, you know, a simple stroll with your partner every night or day or morning, then so be it. Then that becomes your sort of an enjoyable workout as well. So I think that's the top 3 that I'll say.
Yeah, and I always love seeing all the photos of your travels. Yeah, I think it's definitely good to have work-life balance and things to look forward to while you're working hard.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. No, thank you very much for speaking to me, Terry. And I'm sure this has been helpful for a lot of people to hear. I'll drop some of the links down in the episode as well. And I look forward to catching again next time when we're both traveling.
No worries. Thanks, Grace.
Thank you.